Welcome to Hiero Exclusive. This is a podcast focused on how entrepreneurs and operators make real decisions and what they learn when theory meets reality. Each episode is a conversation designed to extract insights, strategies, and lessons you can actually apply, along with the resources that support growth at the right stage. If you care about clarity over hype, you're in the right place. Today's episode is about something most entrepreneurs don't think about until they desperately need it. Infrastructure. Not hustle, not branding, not pitch decks. Infrastructure. Because behind every successful founder, there's usually a network. Mentors, capital access, workspace, community, accountability, ecosystem alignment. And that ecosystem doesn't just build itself. Today I'm sitting down with Erin Strang, Executive Director of the Blue Water Angels, and she's also President and CEO of the Central Michigan University Research Corporation, or CMURC, one of the key engines behind startup growth in the Great Lakes Bay region. But this isn't just a conversation about incubators or office space. This is about what separates founders who scale from those who stall, what makes a company fundable in a region like ours, what Michigan actually has that founders underestimate, and what it really takes to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem outside of Silicon Valley. If you're a founder, aspiring founder, investor, or someone who wants to understand how regional innovation actually works, this episode matters. Erin, thank you for being here. Welcome to Hiero Exclusive.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. And it's actually really special to me that you are my first episode and first conversation on Hiero Exclusive. Many people don't realize, even many of my own clients, that we got our start at CMURC. So 8 years ago or so, that was
goodness.
it hasn't been that long, right?
It doesn't seem that long ago.
Yeah, that was our office space for a few years. And even now, we're still members of CMURC. And over this time, I've just been amazed at the amount of resources that I'm discovering that you guys have. It's really impressive, and just overall, we got our foundation there. So laying the foundation of this podcast with you is truly special, and it's an honor to have you here. So again,
I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start a little bit with CMURC. So CMURC itself isn't just an office space. It's an entrepreneurial ecosystem, or maybe even an ecosystem engine. There's a lot of power there, right? When you first stepped into leadership there, what did you believe the region needed most that it didn't have?
Oh, that is a fantastic way to lead us off here. So I'll say I've been in this region for 17 years. And prior to this, I was down in Southeast Michigan. Mm-hmm. And I was working with the entrepreneurial ecosystem down there. And so as I came up here, that was kind of one of the first things I took a look at. What were we doing down there versus what needed to happen up here? Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, it's very different things based on where you are. Okay. And as we started with our headquarters in Mount Pleasant and learning that community and then branching out into the Great Lakes Bay region, each community has different assets and needs different things. So we try and pivot and provide what the community needs.
Oh, that's interesting. So it actually isn't the same set of resources where you came from. Your initial perception of where the gaps were actually different and need to be custom to the region and the people there, the community.
Absolutely, yeah. Up here, you have a little gem of entrepreneurs, right? I mean, even when you think about larger companies like Dow and things, they all started with an entrepreneur that had an idea. Now, in Southeast Michigan, we ended up working with a lot of corporate companies. We did a lot of different strategic planning sessions and helped companies grow. Where up here, we really have this awesome bed of entrepreneurs and the companies that are here willing to give back to those entrepreneurs as well. So it's really about, that's how we got into the ecosystem of things. It's really about the community helping each other to make advancements.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it's interesting because I guess I didn't think of it from the ecosystem perspective, but it makes perfect sense that it's not just the ecosystem that you're providing to entrepreneurs, but you're gathering the other side of that, of the successful entrepreneurs to come and be a part of that giving as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. So in what you do and have been doing at these ecosystems, I know you see a lot of different founders, and you get to see these founders at their earliest and often most vulnerable stage. What patterns do you see that separate the ones that make it from the ones that stall out?
Yeah, that is always a mystery to us, quite honestly. When we worked on the systems and the programs that we have, entrepreneurs have some of the same challenges, right? And when you think about somebody might be an inventor and have very little business background, or somebody might be in marketing but not really have a great product idea. And so really every entrepreneur is different. It's really about them being able to build the team around them that supports them, right? And so it's really hard to be a solopreneur and make it on your own because you really need that number two, that secondary person to bounce ideas off of, to support each other,
right?
And to really offset each other's skill sets. So
I see. So in your opinion, is it a little bit more as a team or a network, or I heard you say a little bit about you have different skill sets in different areas.
Yeah.
Like there's so many variables here. But is there something maybe in common that you see, like a mind state or coachability or grit or anything? All of it.
All of it. Absolutely. Yeah. Being coachable is key, right? I mean, I'm sure you learn something new every day, and especially with technology growing and things happening, you have to be constantly learning and educating yourself on what the economy is looking at, what your team has, just you're always thinking and learning. And those are great aspects. If you get stuck on something for too long, that could be the demise of your company. And so really having the ability to be nimble and evolve, I think is key, in addition to coaching and learning from everyone around you.
Right. That's important. Nimble adaptability, being able to pivot. And, coaching's an interesting one, because that's one that I was hesitant to engage with at first. But one of my board members actually, had a talk with me about it. And, his story was, Andrew, even the greatest golfer in the world, Tiger Woods, has a coach that overhauled his swing, took him to the next level.
Yeah.
So, from there, I was totally convinced. I got a coach. Shout out to Lisa Tarkington. She is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great point, that there's so many angles of this, but there is a really important aspect to coaching. So my next question here is a little bit about our region here. So, Michigan obviously isn't Silicon Valley, and maybe that's an advantage. What strengths does a region like ours have that founders underestimate?
I think our region has people willing to help each other. And when you look at what makes success, again, it is about people giving back and connections that are made. Early on, when I was working more hand in hand with entrepreneurs before we built the team to be able to help do that, you'd start listening to people and what they want to do. And then you'd think, well, I know this person over here that could help you with distribution, or I know this person over here that could help you with packaging. And so it really is about the willingness of the companies in this area willing to take on that first round of prototyping, or that first round of packaging, or, the small runs that larger companies won't even take a look at. So, I continue to think this region is really full of great assets and great support within the community to continue to make it grow and thrive.
Yeah, it's got to be so fascinating from your perspective, because there's just such a wide array of business types that you guys support in your ecosystem, right? So when you think about products, you have to think about manufacturing and distribution and all that. And then when you're thinking about services, it's a whole different set of considerations.
That's right. And I always say our team has to know just enough to help get ahead of the entrepreneur and then help make connections along the way.
Nice. That's great. So most entrepreneurs, in my opinion, usually think in terms of hustle. But you operate more in terms of infrastructure and resources. What do founders misunderstand about how ecosystems like yours actually work?
Yeah, I think it's always challenging. I mean, communication and providing the information that is available to entrepreneurs. Again, things are ever changing, ever evolving. 1 minute we facilitate a program. We work very tightly with the Michigan Economic Development Corporations and the programs and things that they have to offer. And as they're creating and rolling them out, that's what we have to learn and create and roll out and communicate down. And then that program could go away in a week or two, So just constantly being, our team is really about being on top of all of the opportunities that exist. But we don't expect entrepreneurs to have that time, right? They're supposed to be focused on their businesses and what are happening. So, we try and create these opportunities for entrepreneurs to just drop in. And, we've got our coffee talk on Tuesdays at 10 in all of our facilities and our Connect Me on Thursday at 4. So it's really kind of what we call our open office hours. So people can drop in and, share where they are. And then hopefully our team, can identify what potential opportunities and programs might fit with where they are based on where their business is. There's different thresholds and things, for pre-seed companies versus companies need to be under a certain amount of revenue to access some of the programs. So there's all these little intricacies that are challenging for an entrepreneur to navigate. And so that's where we really try and help them understand what is available for them based on what stage of the company they are in.
Yeah, that's interesting in what you said there because you're talking about the evolution of things and you have a team to support this. So from a strategy perspective, how do you best keep your team on that edge of that evolution? Like you got to keep everyone synchronized and the things are changing, right?
Oh, yeah. We are a very data-driven organization. We've got our CRM systems all set up and, we are really, I've always played sports my whole life and it was always about how do we create a team atmosphere that can help and help each other. We might have somebody that's got expertise in one area versus another. So it really is, we've got the training systems and everything set up for our team to be able to deliver that information. So, but it's, like everything, a constant challenge to make sure that we're even up on everything.
Yeah, well, you're doing a fantastic job. I think that when you see how a team operates and adapts, like it definitely says a lot about the leadership. So definitely kudos to you there.
I always tell people, the one thing you have to be comfortable with is change because we are changing and evolving daily. And if you're not okay with that, then you might not fit with the culture of our team because we just have to, that's just the reality of the business.
Kind of got to be a core value of the team members, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say is the biggest misconception founders have about available resources in this region, such as funding, mentorships, or partnerships, or things like that?
Yeah. Well, talk to any entrepreneur, and the first ththing they want is money, right? They've got it all figured out, and all they need is just, a little bit of money to help them progress forward. And I think what a misperception is, there's not normally grant dollars just sitting out there ready for any business to roll forward. And so, I mentioned some of the programs and things that we facilitate, and it really is of benefit to them to facilitate, but they might not see the dollars directly, but those dollars might go to pay a service provider to help in marketing or might help pay a patent attorney or something like that. So the misconception, I think, is that you're just going to walk in and get money right off the table and not have to do anything for it. So we do, we know that Shark Tank became popular a while back. I'm not sure if we can talk directly about different royalties or things. But essentially, these shows and things have come on and provided the perception that you've got an idea and then somebody's going to give you money for it, right? And so it really is about the hustle and the grind and learning, right? You're going to fail a lot. You're going to have to pivot and then learn a different way until you really, find your market and your niche. Everybody can make a business plan, but I don't know about you, but not very many business plans are followed from A to B. They take some zigzags along the way.
Yeah. You said it in a way of a realization I had that's exactly the same overlapping of that is everybody has some great ideas or a great idea, right? And there's this misperception, like you said, is like, I should be rich off of this, or I had that idea and that person came out with it. I should have been rich, you know? But actually, what I don't think is respected enough in our society is the entrepreneur and how much failure it usually takes to get success. So I like to say is everybody's got a great idea, but
Right.
there are very few good executors.
That's right.
Like in execute, it's not a personality type. That's not something you're necessarily born with.
Right.
It's learned behavior. And
Absolutely.
that learned behavior can accelerate a lot faster when people engage with an organization like your own that has programs that help you learn, has, even some of those early stage grants that can help with a service provider, help them advance. So
You got it.
That's great.
Yeah,
So
it is all about discipline. And I think that people have this perception that being an entrepreneur is all about, like you're saying, just an idea and really the ability to implement and the hustle involved. You might be working around the clock and, it's not an 8 to 5.
Yeah, I remember meeting a guy that was a new entrepreneur, and his goal was to be retired in 2 years.
Oh,
And I said, well, I don't know all the details of what you're doing, but I hope you're prepared to be working 20
Right.
hours a day,
Right.
at least 6 days a week, if not 7, because there's so many unexpected things that are going to be in your path. Like you said, what business plan is followed from A to Z once you've seen the business plan and watched what happened and the different assumptions that were there, and it's about how you react and how you adapt from there.
that's right. And what opportunities come up along the way that, make a lot of sense that you might not have known even were out there.
Right. And that changes things, yes. So what's something you wish more founders were honest about with themselves before they start?
I wish that people would be honest about where they want to go, right? You can talk to an entrepreneur that just wants to save the world. You can talk to an entrepreneur that just wants to, move things forward. But, you really have to be honest about what you want to do with the idea and what you want to do with the company and where you want to be in it, right? And so sometimes the inventor ends up, moving and hiring a CEO. Actually, some of the most successful companies end up, if the inventor starts it, hiring a business person as the CEO to then start and really look at the business aspects of whatever the invention is or what that portfolio of technology or resources could be around it. So, if people really kind of took a look in the mirror and said, you know what, I'm really good at this part of the business and I really want to take it here and really, take a good hard look at what that looks like. I think that's the easiest because we can help work a company forward that just wants to save the world because they've got this great idea, that could save the world. But at the end of the day, they have to admit that they want to make money and retire in 2 years as well, right? I mean,
Right.
you just have to be honest about it because the business model and the structure and the way you set things up could be completely different based on what you want the outcome to be.
Wow, that's great. So a lot of that really is like being honest with yourself about how much you truly understand the business angle, because
Right.
you could be the holdup in your own progress, right?
Absolutely.
So, interesting. So I actually had met this. There's a few different, groups and organizations I meet in my line of work, and I met this group of investors, and they have their own. It's interesting because they have kind of like an ecosystem of things that they plug into these businesses that they invest in.
Sure.
But when they invest into a business, the owner of that idea has to seed CEO to a salesperson that they choose. And I think that's a lot of misperceptions of everybody wants to be a CEO, it seems like, but they don't realize
I don't know why.
you have to be the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You have to fill in for, like, I've seen you on the floor taking pictures at events before. Like, you will fill in for whatever is needed for
That's
that.
right.
And that's part of being a CEO.
That's right.
And most people shy away from sales. But
Right.
CEO, you're the top salesperson. Nobody should be able to pitch the company and what you do. What is your benefit and value or
Right.
differentiator from competitors? No one should be able to pitch that better than you. So that's really interesting that you said that, and it reminded me of that
Yeah.
other group that I found that very fascinating, because what better thing to put in front of an organization but the best salesperson you can?
That's right.
That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We were talking about capital, and everyone likes money, so this is a good one. And this one is probably going to end up, it's a one question, but it's probably a multi-part answer for you, given, who you interact with in your CMURC community versus what you do with the Blue Water Angels and who you interact with there. So, of course, everyone talks about raising capital. From your vantage point, what actually makes an early stage company fundable in this region?
Fundable. Well, the reality is the good idea has to be there, but so does the entrepreneur or the person. People bet on people. They don't always bet on ideas. So you might have the best idea out there, but some of the things we touched on earlier, coachability, grit, grind, those things are really important. And when you think about how you invest with your own dollars, I mean, you want to put your money behind the person that's going to give you the best return. And so I think that, as you look at investment and ideas, I'll say the Blue Water Angels and some of the members there, they really vet the entrepreneur themselves and if they would be willing to bet on that person. It's about integrity and all of those other pieces associated. So people think investment, you just, again, get the money and you get to take it and do what you want. But the reality is investment is, I always say it's like a marriage. I mean, you have to know who you're taking money from, and you really have to be on the same page or be able to communicate to make sure that you can move forward in the right path. I've seen investments go south, differing opinions between the investor and the entrepreneur. We've seen investments go really well based on, the connection and collaboration. But, especially in the early stages, it really is about a labor of love and working with the entrepreneurs, the money to fund it, and then the ability to evolve and grow it.
That's interesting. I myself have sought investment before from multiple businesses, but I was in that early, young, maybe immature entrepreneur mode of I just need money to make it. That's all I need.
Just give me the money.
Now, funny enough, I had given up on raising money because I thought I went in front of so many people. The only thing I can get is maybe a little bit of money from family or friends, but not enough that's meaningful to move me forward. And it wasn't actually until I devised my own plan for how I would fund this myself. And I said, forget investors. I don't need them. But someone wanted to put me in front of a guy. It's like, all right, fine, I'll go to dinner. Yeah. And when I told him, like, look, I don't need you. It'd be great if you helped. It would accelerate it, but I don't need you. I'm doing this with or without you. That actually sold him and brought him on board when he saw that grit, that I was really driven and determined to do that.
Absolutely, not surprised at all. The reality is that, you saying you don't need it, you're good, you're going to make it happen no matter what. That is really, the key component, right? I'm going to make it happen no matter what I have to do to make it happen. And so that, if you're good and you've got that mindset, money will find you.
So as we've gone through our own kind of trial and error and learning process, because we partner with businesses in what we do. At first, I was still on the immature idea of like, I'm just looking for a great idea because if we partner with it, we'll help it happen. And then it matured to like, oh boy, they better have good management experience or some type of thing of a resume of credibility that we can believe in them for that. And then that evolved into more like also maybe they should be putting a little bit of their money in so that they have skin in the game. So now it came up to 3 factors. And then it came up to a 4th factor is it's like, not only do I need them to be experienced so that I can believe in that experience, but I need to believe they're a good person too. So it really is true that you're investing in the person when you're doing it.
I'm only laughing because the reality of the program that we have established in 3 phases was to have that entrepreneur kind of go through those stage gates, right? Before we created the programs, we just, hey, come on down, entrepreneur, let's have a chat. Where do you want to go? What do we want to do? And kind of learn. And then we found sometimes that we were working harder for the entrepreneur than they were working for themselves, right? And so, that's kind of the give and take. We'll help provide you with this stuff, and then you've got to give us this and go back and forth for that accountability to see if they're willing to put in the work. And, that is half the battle.
Yeah, it is. I downplayed hustle a little at first, but as you mentioned, hustle is important. Yeah, hustle is that. It's not the only thing. There's many factors, but yeah, that is important. You can't expect to make it and have other people do all the work.
That's right.
You, right?
You're not just going to be sitting on the beach.
So, as CEO of an organization that supports risk takers, how has your own leadership evolved over the last few years?
Oh, I'm always evolving my leadership. It really is a challenge when you're working with all kinds of entrepreneurs that have high highs and low lows. And, the reality of what we try and create is an opportunity and an area of belonging and acceptance for where everybody is. And, I used to really think, okay, all the rules are out there. Everybody has a step-by-step direction. They should be going and following this through. Well, that's how my brain works. But entrepreneurs, the reality is they're probably all over the place, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't have such great ideas and great concepts. So, it's really about how, at the end, to help with the success of it all, right? And so, however you need to get there, this entrepreneur and this company might need a little something different than this one over here. So, really the customized approach in helping team members, helping entrepreneurs, helping everybody through is really what I believe is the key to success and the continuation of evolving on our leadership style and where we go from here.
Oh, that's interesting because entrepreneurs are an interesting bunch, right?
We love them.
Yeah, I wish I had the exact stat for this, but if you look it up out there, the ratio of ADHD, dyslexia, all these are like abnormally high compared to the regular population when you look at entrepreneurs. And to me, it actually, in hindsight or in reflection, I guess, it makes perfect sense because they think differently. Yeah. So they think outside the box. Right. But it's also something that's hard to like, hey, stay in between these lanes here, and you'll get further, right?
Yeah, that's right. But, again, it comes back to building a team. All of these different personalities and all of these different assets are so important. And if you can manage them, that is really how you'll get an amazing team.
So with all this evolution and all these changes, I mean, which you've got to be pretty good at making by now, I'm sure there had to be some that didn't go so well. What are some lessons you learned the hard way in this journey? Yeah,
I think that I'm always trying to find what people can do, right? What they excel at, right? If you find again, I've been an athlete all my life. If you're playing basketball, I was not a good ball handler down the floor, right? But I could post up and play defense, right? So, but I needed somebody to get the ball down, to either pass to me for a layup or to, and so it really, I try and find, what position everybody really does well at and excels. Sometimes I've leaned too far into that and had to kind of back out to say, okay, what does our organization need? If everybody's really good at, going out and being seen and kind of doing the outreach side, then who's going to be helping the entrepreneurs in-house and dotting the I's and crossing the T's and doing the organizational components? And so it's always a balance on, how you're building your team and what that looks like. We went from one facility and at one time it was me and an executive assistant, and the two of us, kind of worked days and nights and really tried to pull things together. And now we have, a team of 10 plus at any given time and 4 facilities across the region. So it really is about, continuing to learn and evolve and build on the assets that each team member has.
That's, it's actually interesting because where you were talking about that lesson is actually a good leadership point where you were being very trying to be very aware of where their strengths were and channel them in that way. But then the overall business wisdom is like, oh no, I don't have these categories. We can't just let everyone do their own thing all of the time.
And we're always learning. I mean, we're always in those conversations.
Yeah. I think that answer that you gave, balance, is so important and so many subtopics that we could get into.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to find where on the spectrum you should be. And sometimes you need a little bit of both. You know? So that's great. So if we were to fast forward 5 years,
oh goodness,
what does a thriving Michigan startup ecosystem look like?
Okay, I got to be honest. Somebody just asked the other day about what happens in 5 years, and I thought, okay, with AI and technology advancing as quickly as it is, that is a really challenging question. I mean, if you want my out of the box answer,
sure.
It used to be things would take, your team would work on something for 3 months. And then now, then it went to 3 weeks. And now it's like 3 days, right? From an idea. And I'm sure in the, space that you're in, you see this as well. You used to have a longer amount of time was acceptable to get a job done or to do these things. And now that just keeps continuing to decrease based on technology and different assets and resources that we all have. So, when you look down the road, 5 years, I bet we will have all kinds of millionaires in the AI space that used AI. Maybe they, used it as a platform. Maybe they used it to build their business. But I bet we're going to, just like in the .com era, we had all these, different tech entrepreneurs that really excelled. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of that. And hopefully just a better connected world because of that technology. But
oh, that's
it's
great.
a hard forecast.
It is too. And in our realm, we work with AI a lot with our clients. And even from what I can see at first, earlier this year, I said it's doubling in competencies about every 6 to 7 months. And now I've had to recently revise that and say, I think it's happening every 90 days now. And so there's a lot about that you can analyze that seems a little scary, but also a lot you can analyze about it that's very exciting. There's going to be so much opportunity.
It's here. Let's figure out how to use it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason, there's a lot of doomers about it of like, oh, there's no more software development. Actually, I think there's going to be an explosion in hyper-focused, hyper-specialized software that's very specific to your need, your use case. So, I agree with you. I think there's going to be more millionaires in the next 36 months than any time in history. So, I think there's a lot of excitement to move to look forward to there.
Yeah, 5 years is too long away. Too far away.
That is. That's quite the, especially right now in the progress.
I don't know what's going to happen next year, let alone 5 years.
Right. We'll be surprised at what we have to adapt to.
That's right.
So if someone is listening today that's sitting on an idea but hasn't taken the first step, what would you tell them?
Oh, it's real easy. If you go to workgreatlakesbay.com, we have a website that has not only resources that CMURC offers, but other resources within the region, the chambers, the economic development groups, the Apex accelerators, all of those different resources that exist across the area. If you reach out to CMURC, it's real simple. We do an intake call. So we sit with you and we hear what you have and what you're trying to accomplish. And then we group and see what we have, what resources we have at that time and where we might be able to help you out. And if there's nothing we can do, we'll let you know that as well. So
Okay. And if someone wants to plug into CMURC properly or more effectively, is there anything they should understand first?
I don't know if you need to understand anything except that you truly want to start a business and it's not just a hobby. We do see people that look at a hobby and think they want to start a business, and you have to go through that process as well. But if you're just kind of dabbling about it in midst of trying to find a real job, it's not for you. You really have to want to build a business, and otherwise, it's not really worth the time.
Well, there we go. That's amazing. You accept businesses of all type,
That's right. You can have an idea on the back of a napkin. It's all right. We'll take it.
So as long as you're serious about the entrepreneurial journey, you are ready to connect with CMURC then.
That's right. And we're not going to do the work for you. We're not going to build your business, but we're going to help you with the resources and things that are available and the assets that are available to help you move it forward. That's
awesome. That is so amazing because even where I was when I had gotten an investor, which is about the time when I had come into CMURC, all these previous business ideas that I had been working on, I had no idea that resources like that exist. And so I tell so many people so regularly about that. It just surprises me every time that I meet an entrepreneur that's not aware of CMURC and they're in this area. Like, you should be aware of CMURC.
Thank you. We think so. Absolutely. Yeah. And the reality is, when you... we're not rocket scientists, but we do work with some rocket scientists. We do work with some neuroscientists. We work with all kinds. Our skill set is really in helping with the business aspect of that idea or that concept. And, on an annual basis, so last year we worked with over 800 different entrepreneurs. And so we see things, we see trends, we see opportunities, we see what is truly happening in this region. So we just have more data points than your average solo entrepreneur that's moving forward.
That's awesome. You're truly making progress, building what, and I don't know if you guys came up with this, but it's truly an ecosystem there, and it's really amazing. So we're to our rapid question time.
Oh, goodness.
So fun little rapid fire here. So let's see what you come up with, because they are all business related here. So
Okay.
what is the most overrated startup advice?
Overrated advice. I'm going to slow down our rapid fire. I don't have an answer for you. I think all advice is good to take into consideration. I think we touched on it a little bit, but there's no such thing as free money.
Okay. And maybe we touch on the other side of that. What would be the most underrated that you wish more people listened to or heard?
Oh, just listen, evolve, pivot. You got to be nimble. You got to be willing to brush off the losses quickly. And I don't think people understand that. It's again, when you're playing a sport, you make a bad play, you got to brush it off because the game's not over yet.
Yeah. Two characteristics I see commonly in entrepreneurs is unrealistically optimistic.
Oh, yeah.
Because most
their idea is amazing.
Yes. Well, even if most businesses fail, like if you look at the stats for restaurants, you have to really admire the bravery of anyone going into that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a 95% failure rate. An entrepreneur is unrealistically optimistic. They're like, 5% chance I can do that.
And that's not me. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you should definitely know the industry you're going into.
Yeah.
That is another, underrated component, right? Everybody thinks they can run a restaurant because they've been to one, but that's not really the case.
Yeah. And like you said about listening, is the other thing that I see and as a characteristic is stubbornness.
Oh, yeah.
And so stop being stubborn, listen,
Yeah.
and you would be surprised how far that can get you.
That is true.
This is to the young entrepreneurs out there.
That's right.
So.
That's right. You heard it here.
All right. What is all the different people you come in there? You got to have something internally where you see something. Is there a trait that makes you bet on someone? You see a certain trait of an entrepreneur coming in and like, oh, they're probably going to make it.
Yeah. Resilience. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that you can't be bullheaded, right? Like you have to learn, but you also have to not give up.
Yeah.
And you just have to have that mindset that no matter what, you're going to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, that is amazing because as we touched on earlier, failure is generally an important part of the journey.
Oh, yeah.
And
I fail every day.
Yeah, bounce back up, dust
right.
yourself off, carry on, but carry forward that lesson you learned that just caused you to fail.
Right.
So that's great. What's one mistake you see repeatedly from entrepreneurs?
Oh, mistakes. I see mistakes all the time. But again, you learn from them, right? They're failures that you learn from. I think that a lot of people or entrepreneurs, I don't know why. Again, maybe it's based on their risk or where they are. But finance is always a key component that if you don't know your financials, you don't know your cost of goods, you don't know your cash flow. These are things you probably need to find somebody to go help you with, right? So, we see a lot of people underestimate how much it's really going to take them to get to the end game. So even if you think I just need a little bit of investment to get me that much further, when you think about really where you want to go, you've got to really plan out how much money it's actually going to take you to get
right.
Get there.
So both like kind of a combination of long-term vision as well as the persistence to keep going and keep pushing.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So that's actually all I have for you here today.
Phew,
So
off the hot seat.
This is a great conversation, very powerful stuff. I hope any entrepreneur watching this realizes, especially in our Great Lakes Bay region, there are wonderful resources available. So thank you again for joining me
Thank you.
today.
Really appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. If you're listening right now and you've been sitting on an idea, or maybe you've been building in isolation, this is your reminder. You don't have to build alone. There are resources. There are ecosystems. There are people building infrastructure so you don't have to reinvent everything from scratch. The question isn't, is support available? The question is, are you willing to plug in? If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd encourage you to reach out to CMURC or explore what exists in your own region and take the next strategic step instead of waiting for perfect timing. And if you're enjoying these conversations where we extract real insights, real strategy, and real lessons from leaders building behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe, share this episode with another entrepreneur, and stay connected. Because this isn't just about stories. it's about leverage. Until next time, build wisely.